Hello and welcome to another episode of Geared Toward Gear. My name's Sean and I'm so glad you're here. I've got a really excellent flashlight to share with you guys today, and I'm sad to say, and this is probably the only time I'll ever say this, is that this is not currently available for purchase. So this is a flashlight made by a company called Brinyte, and it's the model P18 Oathkeeper, which I think is a badass name for anything, the Oathkeeper. So anyway, it's the P18 Oathkeeper from Brinyte, and it is a really, really cool light. And this one happens to be a prototype. And how I came to have this in my possession, they sent it to me. I had to pay shipping from China, but essentially they didn't contact me and say, hey, like, we need you to review this. I'm definitely not that cool. But I did find that they had an application process. So I had heard about the light, had seen pictures of it, was crazy interested, knew I couldn't get one yet to purchase, but I found this application process. So I filled out a form, gave them, my YouTube URL, my Instagram account, Facebook page, all that good stuff, and answered a number of questions, and they got back to me a couple weeks later with their decision. And that's kind of how they determine whether or not they'll provide a light for testing and review in kind of the prototype phase of this light. And so I filled out the application, sent it in. Wasn't super confident that they would accept my application, considering I have a small channel and it's a really cool light. But they did, and they said, we will send you one. This is how much it costs for shipping, and we'll send you the kit. Let us know what you think. Give us your feedback. And so I got the light, and that's how I got it. So full disclosure on all that. So as I mentioned, it is the P18 Oathkeeper from Brinyte, and it is a prototype. I will say that, once I got it and started using it, I reached out and talked to one of the representatives from the company, and they did tell me, as of kind of late May 2019, that these should be available for purchase very, very soon from some US retailers and potentially even on Amazon.com, and that the retail price is going to be somewhere between, they said around 100, 120. I've heard as low as 80. So I can't quote you an exact price, but I'm guessing somewhere between 80 and 120 is going to be the retail on this light, and it should be available very soon. The only difference, again, from what Brinyte told me, with the production version and the prototype, is the color. It's just going to be a little bit darker, I believe. So this is kind of a pale, they call this sand. It's kind of a bronzy, kind of desert sand color. It's going to be just a hair darker, I believe, in production. Otherwise, everything's identical. It's got this tactical ring here with the integrated pocket clip, so it's designed to be very much a tactical light. It has dual switches on the rear, which we'll talk about, and just a really, really interesting light. And it'll be available soon, which is why I wanted to get this video out, so you guys can decide whether or not you think it's something that might be worthwhile for you, because I think it's pretty darn cool. So it comes with a user's manual, and it's one of the better user manuals I've seen in a while. It's got like this little lanyard attachment on it, and just everything's very well laid out as far as understanding the operation and the output and the technical parameters. So I really like that. I hadn't seen one laid out quite like this before. So there's your user manual. It also comes with a micro USB charging cable, and this is actually not micro USB. This is USB-C. And so the charging on this is supposed to be fast charging. So you'll obviously plug into just your standard USB, but what goes into the light is USB-C, as opposed to what we typically see, which is micro USB. So it does come with that cable, and it's kind of like a fabric wrapped cable. Seems to be high quality. So you get the charging cable. You also get a lanyard, which I don't know what specifically you would use this for. I mean, it's decent quality. It's got a little kind of crab claw on the end, but it's a very long lanyard, almost like a necklace type thing. Again, not sure how you would incorporate that with this light, but it does come with it. So that's the lanyard. It also comes with this silicone ring, which is a nice touch for me. And what this does is it replaces the tactical ring and pocket clip. So this is all one piece, the ring and the pocket clip, and you can take that entire unit off, and the space that takes up would be replaced with this silicone ring that is in a matching color, and I'll show you how to do that here in a little bit. And that's probably how I'll use it, honestly, is with this. So it comes with that. It also comes with a holster, and it's a really, really nice one. It's branded as Brinyte, and the quality on this thing is legit. It's got a space on both sides for maybe a spare battery, something like that. So both sides you get a little slip pouch to put some extra gear in. It's a rotatable, pocket clip, which is nice. You carry it, horizontal, vertical, or whatever. And it's just a good fit for the light. It will accept the light with the tactical ring on it. So you put your light in like so. It comes over the top. The end comes through that hole, and it secures that way. So a well thought out and well designed pouch or belt sheath or belt holster for this particular light. And you can still use the light in this configuration, which is kind of cool, I guess. You can access all the functions from here, and you've got your LED down there. So pretty cool sheath, very good quality. So all the little extras it comes with, I think, are good quality and nice little bonuses. So we'll get the sheath out of the way, the charging cable, the really long lanyard, and the little silicone ring, which we'll come back to. So here's the light. It puts out a max output of 2,000 lumens using a Cree XP 35 LED, which is a very, very high quality LED from Cree. It's got a nice smooth reflector and a very deep reflector. So this is going to put light out to a pretty good distance, and I'll definitely give beam shots at the end like I typically do, but a really, really nice LED and a really nice reflector, anti-reflective coating on the lens, and kind of this crenulation on the bezel, which is really just, in my opinion, best for if you set it down and the light's turned on, you can see that the light is on because it's escaping. So just to give you a heads up, hey, you left your light on. So that's what we're working with as far as the LED. I mentioned the tactile ring, which is removable. And the fuel source on this is going to be one 18650 battery, which is a very common battery size for this type of light. I've mentioned them many times in the past, and it does come with the light. The battery itself is branded as a Brinyte brand battery. It's a 3.6 volt, 3100 milliamp hour battery, but it will also run on two CR123 batteries, which I've mentioned again a number of times. For me is a huge bonus, right? If this thing dies and you really need it, I don't want to be searching for a USB input to charge it. And you could, I guess if you're using the sheath, you could put some CR123s in this little slot on either side and have some backup batteries in the event that it does die. So that's kind of cool. It has 6 modes. It has low, medium, high, turbo, and then it has strobe and SOS. The dimensions on this are going to be 6.5 inches long, 1.6 inch diameter on the head, and it weighs 6 ounces. So let's talk about the user interface. So you've got 2 switches on the tail. You've got kind of one larger one and then another one that kind of, it's angled down and a bit smaller. You've also got a side switch here. So you can use this in a number of different configurations, I guess. So the tail switch, the large one, the only thing it does is give you either momentary or constant turbo. So it's going to go straight to 2000 lumens, whether you do a short press for momentary or a full press for constant. Okay, so that's part of what makes it tactical, is no matter what, if you touch that button at all, it's going to turbo, right? This button here, the smaller one, which is very easy to access, is only going to take you to strobe. So instant access to strobe by pressing this button. So strobe warning, just press it and hold it as long as you want to, and you've got strobe. So turbo and strobe from the rear, that's what makes it tactical for sure, in my opinion. Here's a cool thing though. If you fully depress the tail switch, the larger of the two, if you fully depress it into that turbo mode, this smaller button then becomes your mode selector. So now if you press this one time, you're going to cycle through all your brightness settings. Every time you press it, you're just cycling through, which I think is pretty darn cool. So, and then just to turn it off, press the larger button and you are off. So for your tactical, momentary, instant turbo, instant strobe, or click it on into turbo and then use the smaller button to cycle through your brightness settings. So a pretty cool user interface as far as that's concerned. The side switch also does function to operate the light. So you can, from the off position, turn on the light using just the side switch by pressing and holding. And it's going to turn on, it's going to give you a battery status indicator. It's going to stay on for about 5 seconds. And we saw that that was green. Once it's on, just press it. Each time you press it, you're going to go through a brightness level. And it's just going to cycle through over and over again. And when you're done, press and hold, and it turns off. So you can do all of your operations from the side switch or from the tail, which I think is pretty cool. When you're using the side switch, if you want to get to strobe, I want to say it's a double press. Yeah, so that'll get you your strobe, and then one more press will just take you back to whatever your most recent mode was. So you do have mode memory, so that's pretty darn cool. So let's talk about output. The low mode, let's get to that real quick, is 10 lumens for 31 hours. Medium is 60 lumens for 15.5 hours. High is 450 lumens for 2.5 hours. And the 2000 lumen turbo is going to last you only for about a minute before it starts to dim a little bit. And that's 2000 lumens, as I mentioned. So with any light putting out that kind of an output, it gets hot, right? It gets literally hot. The temperature rises and you can burn up the internals of a light, which is why any light that puts out that kind of power is going to dim itself automatically. And this one's going to do so, or start to do so, after about 1 minute. So just keep that in mind. After a minute, it's going to step down. Your strobe and SOS are going to give you the same 2000 lumen output. It also does have a lockout of the side switch. So if you just want kind of your tactical, just tail switch only, because you can do everything from here, right? And you can also do everything from here. But if you only want to use the rear, you can lock out the side switch by doing 3 quick presses of the side switch. So 1, 2, 3, you're going to get a couple flashes, and now this button has been rendered useless. If I press it, I just get some flashes of that battery indicator, and it does nothing. So now I'm just on my tactical mode with my rear tail switch, so temporary or momentary turbo, or click it on into turbo, and then you use the smaller button to cycle through your brightness settings, and that's how you would do that there. To unlock it, just do the same thing again. 1, 2, 3. You'll get a few flashes, and then you're back to being able to use this side switch. If I did that right, yep. You're back to being able to use a side switch to operate your light. As far as the battery status indicator, green is going to mean that you are above 70%. Orange will mean 30% to 70%. Red means less than 30%. And flashing red means less than 10%. And it will stay flashing red until you recharge the battery. So that's pretty cool. So a lot going on here. The fact that you can operate everything from the rear. The fact that you can operate everything from the side switch. The little tactical ring is kind of cool. Here's your USB-C input, which is something you're not going to accidentally open. It's actually a bit of a challenge to get open. If I can even do it, to give you guys an example, which I actually like. I don't mind struggling a little bit to. Of course, I turned it on accidentally while I'm doing that. I'm pushing the side switch on the other side, which is why I just keep turning it on. So there's your USB-C input for your charging. And this is not going to come undone unless you really want it to. It takes a little bit of work to get it open, but that's your charging input. And let's quickly take off this tactical ring, because it is very tactical and something that not everybody's going to want to use, right? If you just want this on your bedside table or in a bag or something like that, you may not find this useful. So just take off the tail cap and just kind of wiggle it until it comes free. You've got a few O-rings that are kind of holding it in place with some friction. So now our tactical ring is off of the light, and we can put that to the side, and we can take our silicone ring and slide that over and take the tail cap, put it back in place. And now we have a more streamlined look without that tactical ring, but it also does take away the pocket clip. So that's kind of one downside. I wish this was 2 pieces where it could be, where you could still have the pocket clip and not the ring. Although this is a pretty big light to carry in your pocket, so it's not a huge deal, I guess, that it doesn't have a pocket clip, but I do like that more streamlined grip there. And so yeah, just a very, very interesting light. A lot of features. The output on this thing's crazy. It's 2,000 lumens, but I don't know, it feels like more. And I'll put in beam shots like I typically do at the end to show you what this thing can really do. But it puts out a crazy amount of light. And just the design here on this end, I really like and am impressed by. The way everything is shaped and angled just makes it super easy and intuitive to get your momentary turbo, your constant turbo, or your instant strobe. So if you're looking for a light for a tactical application, whether it's professionally or just in the home, it couldn't be easier to blind the shit out of somebody with this thing. Because no matter what you do with the tail, you're either getting turbo or strobe, one or the other. And you can pick and choose and go back and forth between the two very easily just by kind of rocking your thumb. And then again, just fully tap that in to get your turbo, and then use the button to cycle through your brightness settings. A really cool light. Thank you to Brinyte for accepting my application. I haven't applied for anything probably since college, so it felt a little weird applying to get this prototype sent to me, but that is the Brinyte P18 Oathkeeper. Should be available soon, and I will update the description as time goes on. As soon as this is available to purchase, I will let you know where you can get it, what it's going to cost, all that good stuff. But I just want to make you aware that this exists, and it's going to be available soon. So if this appeals to you at all, just take note of it and keep your eye out, and I'll let you know as soon as I hear anything. Maybe I'll post something on Instagram or Facebook, or do a quick video update on the Oathkeeper. So a very cool light. I'm digging it quite a bit. The overall quality and construction is fantastic. Couldn't be happier with it. So stay tuned for some beam shots. I'll meet you in the backyard, and we'll go ahead and close out the video once we get outside. So stand by, and I'll see you in the backyard. All right, here we are again in the backyard. This time we were looking at the Brinyte P18 Oathkeeper. So right now I've got it on low or medium just to give a little ambient light so I can see what the hell I'm doing. And this, as you'll recall, is 2,000 max lumens on the output, and it uses that tail switch to get that instant turbo. So I'm going to bring the light up kind of towards the tree, which you may not be able to see currently, and I'm going to go ahead and just blast it with full turbo, and we'll see what this thing can do. That thing is crazy freaking bright. So there's turbo on the tree at about 40 feet, and we're looking at about 120 feet to the shed, and it's just completely washing that thing out. It's terribly bright, and it also has a good amount of spill and flood, similar to what you saw on the Orca torch that I reviewed not too long ago. So it's lighting up a bunch of the yard, but it's reaching out and kind of touching objects out at a distance. You know, if I put it up on a tree or something like that, it's incredibly bright. And let's check the strobe real quick. And this may disturb some neighbors, but let's quickly take a look at the strobe. It's quite intense, so strobe warning. So there's your strobe. And then there's your full turbo. Super crazy bright light. I love it. So there's the Brinyte P18 Oathkeeper in all of its glory. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I'll talk to you soon.